Realizing that you have a narcissistic parent is one of the most crushing realizations that you might ever go through, especially when your relationship with that parent has always been good. For a lot of us, these realizations take us by surprise. We never expected the person who we trust most, who we hold most dear, would turn out to have been a person with a personality disorder, manipulating us the entire time. Many people are encouraged to speak up about their narcissistic partners, but not so much when it comes to family. As family is kind of seen as sacred in our society, it feels taboo to label the people who have raised us as narcissists. And not all bad parents are narcissists, but narcissists reveal themselves in many ways. And to ignore the fact that you may have a narcissistic parent is a huge disservice to yourself. Narcissistic parents go out of their way to set you up for failure in life. Every time you think they're acting out of kindness, it's usually just a ploy for them to gain control over you. And that's not a battle that anyone should have to fight with their parents. Love is not about control. Love is never about what you can do for someone else. A parent's love should be unconditional. In fact, many argue that the only way to gain unconditional love is from your own parents. Most people will not love you unconditionally, and it's expected for parents to do so. A narcissist's love can never be unconditional. It's always conditional and tied to what they can gain from you, whether that be reputation, money, status, wealth, or even help. The narcissistic parent is always looking for something out of their children. They're never showing them love just out of the sake of wanting to show them love. They're never showing you love out of the sake of actually loving you. With narcissistic parents, unfortunately, there is always a catch. Because the very nature of narcissistic personality disorder is to always look out for oneself. In my personal experience, I've come to learn that my narcissistic mother only has had children to create more victims of abuse. My whole life, I always wondered, how does one person end up in so many abusive situations? Every single time she entered a romantic relationship, it became abusive. And her children were the ones who had to deal with the majority of that abuse. Staying in abusive situations is actually beneficial for a narcissistic parent, especially a mother. Their ultimate goal is to make sure that they're always gaining sympathy from others. If that means being a perpetual victim for their whole life, that is what they will do. They will go to insane lengths to never be seen as the attacker. And particularly in family dynamics where the children and mother are being abused, it's much easier for a narcissistic mother to create enmeshed relationships with their child. These relationships are overly codependent and unhealthy. This creates a sort of best friend dynamic with the parent and the child. Because the narcissistic parent has no one else to turn to, they will create children as confidants, as best friends. They will purposefully create good memories with you so that you always feel guilty to turn away from them when they have done you wrong. They do this for the sole purpose of creating an energetic tether between you both. This tether can keep you in their servitude for the rest of your life if you allow it to. After speaking with countless victims of rental narcissistic abuse, I've learned that we all have one shared experience of feeling tethered to that parent, of feeling like you can never escape their grip. And this is all intentional, no matter how hard the narcissist tries to cover it up, because they will try hard. They will make up whatever they have to make sure that they have as many people on their side when you no longer want to be there for them. If you decide to escape the grip of the narcissistic parent, they will always make you the villain in their story. They will go around spreading whatever lies that they have to about you in order to make other people believe that you are the narcissist. My mother in particular is a very, very covert narcissist. What that means is she's able to hide so much of her true nature behind a very kind, sweet, generous mask. A lot of these people that will take the shirts off of their back for you are only doing it for some sort of personal gain. And my mother is one of those people. She's intentionally let me and my siblings go through years and years of abuse, both physical and sexual, just for her own gain, just for the sole purpose of always keeping us on her leash. A narcissistic parent will also purposefully put you in an abusive situation just to have you run to them for help. They will decide whether or whether not to help you based on how much personal gain they can get from it. For my mother, it was a way for her to always have control over the narrative. She could completely hide her abusive nature within the fact that I had an abusive father and abusive stepfathers. She knew because their abuse was physical that it outweighed the mental anguish that she was putting her children through. And she knew if she could be a safe haven for us in times of need, that we would see her as an angel, almost a Mother Teresa type of vibe. And she knew the power in having us always run back to her. With narcissists, all they really care about is power and control. That person who you see as your savior, your soulmate, your best friend, it's simply a mask they put on. And when that mask drops, you get someone akin to a psychopath. But because of the cyclical nature of narcissistic abuse, you are able to forget these moments because they become that kind person once again. It's a constant cycle of confusion, fear, and pain. But you will notice as you get older and you start to rely on your parent less, they go one of two ways. They either cling on to you so desperately as not to lose control over you, or they treat you as someone who is very disposable, but they always will ask for your help and never return it. Only time they will return your help is when they are trying to ensure that you help them once again. It's always transactional with a narcissistic parent. Don't confuse any action as kind or overly generous. Those overly generous actions are actually a trap to make sure that you will do whatever ridiculous thing they ask you to do. I had to deal with it myself that my narcissistic mother was never looking out for me, not a day in my life. And as an adult, I've realized a lot of things that had happened during my childhood she could have prevented. She knew about, that I didn't even know she knew about, but she didn't care enough about me to stop it. She knew that she would gain more from letting me experience it than she would lose. She knew that if I went through some terrible things in my childhood, she would have more control over me in the long run. And that's how narcissistic parents condition their children to always stay with them, always be by their side, and always help them. It's a way to have your own little army of worker bees. A narcissist's dream is to have naive slaves, people who will do whatever they want them to do, just out of the fact that they love them, even if that love isn't actually reciprocated by the narcissist. Though it does hurt to realize that that relationship I thought I had with my mother was fake the whole entire time, I'm a better person for realizing it. I'm a better person to myself and the people that I love. It's completely up to you to end that cycle of abuse. The best thing you can do is remove the person from your life and try to work on yourself. Try to learn who you are, because when you grow up in a narcissistic environment that doesn't encourage you to know yourself, there's potential that you never know yourself your entire life. And that's also another way that a narcissist keeps you in their control. You must choose to live for yourself. You must choose yourself over them. And while this is easier said than done, this is the best decision I've ever made in my life. So if you're suffering from a narcissistic parent's abuse and you're old enough to leave, financially secure enough to leave, I implore you to do so. Your life will greatly improve once you've left. It may even take several years after leaving to realize that you have your own life to live. But that realization, no matter how long I've waited and no matter how hard it was to come to it, it's the best realization that I've ever had in my life. That I don't have to live for my abuser anymore. I don't have to see everything through her lens. I'm my own person, and I can learn to be my own person, and I have my whole life to learn that, just as long as I don't allow her back into my life. And for that, I feel like a better person. So if you're suffering too, I do implore you to choose yourself. Don't let the narcissist steal your life. And that's all I have to say about that.